Thank you very much for joining with us today, traders. I'm going to make a presentation today on a lot of information on Boomerang Day Trader. Boomerang Day Trader, our slogan is that if you put Boomerang on your charts tonight, you can make money in the market tomorrow. That doesn't mean you'll win all the trades because there is certainly a learning curve involved, but the beauty is the process is very simple, and you should be able to make winning trades right away. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that today. Now, first of all, the screen I'm presenting here, this is what I call the high five. I won't get into that completely, but it's there on my Mohan's Market Force website. We talk all about the high five, and these are the indices that you can use to read the stock indexes. I'm a specialist in trading the U.S. stock indexes, so I always have these up and running when I'm trading. So I left them up here today so you could learn from them. This is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and then I always ask, here's the Dow's up 40. Is the NASDAQ fading or following it? In this case, the NASDAQ soared ahead. You can see 0.67% versus up 0.23, soared ahead of the Dow. And then I ask, what is the trend doing in relation to that? And the transportation index, which can be an amazing front runner of markets a lot of times if you know how to read it. We teach you how to do that in my trading room, the Day Traders Action Live room. And then we go to the advanced decline ratio, which is the lifeblood of the markets. That's the advancing issues in the market and the declining issues. Subtract it out, you get a plus 651 today. So the market was a little bit stronger earlier, and then it kind of fizzled out later in the close, and that's because the underlying force is still kind of bearish. We've had 19 ridiculous up days and not one single minus Dow 50 type pullback, which it's a little embarrassing because, you know, these markets, let's face it, they're orchestrated just like they're watching your cell phones and your emails if they want to push a few buttons. Look, they're orchestrating the markets. However, it's a very, very complex process, and it doesn't in any way eliminate us from being able to trade it and make money. So let them go ahead and do whatever they want, and we're going to go ahead and make money trading the markets. How's that for a positive attitude? You got to have that to win at trading. Let me tell you something. This is very much akin to any kind of strong trading in martial arts or military. Now, I've never been in the military or anything, but boy, I've known guys that are, and I'll tell you, that's some tough training. If you don't think that trading requires the same kind of toughness of police or military training or ninja, becoming a ninja warrior like we all are working with NinjaTrader, you're not going to make it in trading. This is not a look at it and ponder and think about it and maybe I'll make the trade, maybe I won't. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but if you want to get in here and make money, you've got to take the signals. You got to have the guts to take the signals. You got to stand up and get ready to take these markets, take the bull by the horns, as they say. So what I'm going to show you today is not only just things like I've just been telling you about trading psychology and mindset, what I call mindset, because if you say psychology, people think there's nothing wrong with me. Well, psychology is the study of the mind. So trader's mindset means the study of a trader's mindset. So with that in mind, I'd like to move on from this area here to go over the Boomerang Day Trader. That's what you see in front. All we do is we use a very simple chart application here, buy or sell at the market when we get a signal. Let me show you what a Boomerang Day Trader signal looks like. Now the market, they ramped them up right off the open here. You can see the pre-market, the ramp up started, and they just took them straight up. Now the different components of Boomerang consist of these two bands here called the dynamic trend bands. When they cross and match, that's a bullish. On the upside, that's a bullish signal. When they cross and match on the downside, that's a bearish signal. You also have this line running through here, which is called the Cobra, and this very thin line here, which is called the trade signal line. So some people may think, oh, that's a lot of lines. Well, frankly, if every line has very important meaning, I can have 10 lines on my charts, and I don't mind at all. And I'll show you more about some things like that in a minute. I'll go briefly into the Fibonacci reading method. Now, that's not part of Boomerang, but it is a way of called what's chart reading. Boomerang is not just for trade signals, although that's what we specialize in, giving you exact trade signals in the trade channel, but it's about how to learn to read the markets. If you have Boomerang in your charts and you have a different method for applying the signals, if you have the Boomerang charts, your signals that you do and your method is going to be a lot more refined and a lot better because of the Boomerang readings. They don't lie. When we have this is a new trade channel opening here. Let me show you this one. Here's a new trade channel opening here. See this shaded gray area, greenish colored area? The trade channel is right here when it opens, and it's signaled by this arrow and an alarm goes off. Our goal then is to buy with the matching dynamic trend bands, or at least the matching of the Cobra and dynamic trend band number 2. It's very simple. You're only looking at these two lines. Is the pullback to the signal line, which is marked with these blue dots here on the buy side and the yellow dots on the sell side. Now, there has to be a very specific setup in order to do that. When you get a new buy channel opening and you see the Cobra, this line here running through matching with the dynamic trend band number 1, you count within 3, maybe 4 in some cases, candles from the opening of the trade signal or the trade channel, and you buy that next pullback. See that? So here's the opening candle. 1, 2, boom, you buy. And our system and method is that we look for a 3-point scalp to the upside. So that buy level was 433. You can see that over on the right side over there. See that? 433. I'm wiggling it so you can see it. 42.33 even. This is a NASDAQ chart, and we use a 450 tick chart. Mini NASDAQ. I think it's the best contract to day trade if you're trading the U.S. stock indexes. So 42.33, and the market jumps higher immediately to 42.36 quarter. 3 points very quickly. That's what I like. That was in about 3 minutes. I like getting out of the markets and taking profits. I love hearing the cash register ring, and I like cutting the risk most of all, because even though the market, the illusion of the market, as you see here, and you see it way up here, you better have a very crystal clear method to catch that. And I'll show you that on Boomerang, how Boomerang does that for you too. Otherwise, you're going to go through a lot of whipsaw and a lot of movements. And for example, you got long here at 42.33 and they ran up. Say we're going to hold for a bigger position and they came all the way back to 35.50. You're not going to feel very good. You go, wow, I only have 2 points, and they ran all the way up to 39. But say you're thinking, no, I'm going for the big picture up here. Well, again, that takes a lot of understanding and courage to be able to do that. What I prefer to do is just grab the pullback to the signal line and trade the next trade. See how that works? Now, we have very simple rules. One of them is we do not trade what I call fat channels. If you turn your head slightly to the left and look at this screen, you'll see a person with a beer belly or a pregnant lady, but they're not fat, they're pregnant. And that's a big difference. But a beer belly, that's kind of fat. I just do it to create a negative image about it so you don't trade those, because what will happen is if you took, here comes the market spiking down on the opening channel, right? The pullback signal line occurred way at the bottom of the fat channel and you got stopped out on the whipsaw. That's going to happen just about every time. The fat channels tend to reverse. And you know, admittedly in my room I do reverse these fat channels on what I call exhaustion reversal trades. That's a different type of method that I keep to myself. But here on Boomerang, all you got to do is just pick off the trades as they come in. But you got to watch for fat channels. Now, the simple rule is that fat channels are created by 1 to 3, well, 2 to 3, maybe 4 spike candles that are 3 points in length. Here's 140. And it runs 43. See that? Look at this one right here. 37 on the low, 40, 75 on the top. These 3-point spike candles in a succession are guaranteed going to create a fat channel. In most cases, you're not going to buy that pullback to the signal line. You just wait for the next trade. Now, this is today's market, by the way, coming into the close, so it's not so relevant. Let me scroll back to another day. Let me find a day that will give us some good examples. Here's a nice day. Here, look at that. Nice swings going on. Here's the opening right here on Boomerang. And I usually don't trade the opening myself. I usually wait for the first 10 or 15 minutes of trading to get bias so we can watch for that. Now, here's what happened here. Look at this. The Cobra gives us an advance warning by turning red. The new trade channel opens here, and the dynamic trend band number 1 matches. Here's the trade channel opening. Candle 1, candle 2. Boom, the yellow dot is hit. A sound alarm goes off, and within seconds, the price 17 pulls back to 13.25 for a 3.75 move. You're going to scalp 3 points, and you can set that up right here. You see this? Minus 20 is a 5-point stop. Plus 12 is a 3-point gain. You can drag and click the, on Ninja, you can drag and click the stop to tighten it if you want, if you do trade like that. So the market bounces back up, but what happened here? Little quiz for you. Why wouldn't we take this long trade up here? That's right. 3 fast, mega hyper spike candles to the upside. You don't want to trade that. Why would you trade this one? Well, that's because when the dynamic trend band matched, along with the Cobra, the trade channel opened, there was an immediate sell signal right there with everything already in advance matching on that first candle and on the second candle. Even though this one spiked lower, that second one pulled right back up there, nailed the sell signal, and 1750 came all the way down to 1075. 7 handles very quickly there. Now notice the time. This is a West Coast chart, so just add 2 hours or 3 depending on where you are. Let's say East Coast would be 10:08:59. That's 10:09. You got long, or short, I'm sorry, 17.5, and your 3 points was filled in 30 seconds. That's Boomerang for you. Boomerang has that ability. It's not a position trade. It's fast action. Now what happens here? Well, you've got the change in color. You got the new channel opening and a slight spike up, but you've got the change in color matching here. You see that? Price is crossing over dynamic trend band number 2. This is number 2. This is a little bit slower period. Within 1, here's the opening trade channel. 1, 2. On the third candle, that's the rule. Third candle is best, sometimes the fourth. Pull back the signal line. A little bit of patience, a little bit of heat here, no problem. Couple points against you, no problem. Little heat. Everything's matched up in the trade channel. Everything's turning blue, the bullish color here, also on the dynamic trend band number 2, and up they go. See how that works? It's only the first hour of trading. You've had 3 winners according to this process here, but you had to be fast. You had to know what you were doing, and that comes from training at these type of webinars like we have here. I promise to train you. I will help you there. I have various resources that I can help you to make sure that you learn how to trade with Boomerang. First thing today is just paying attention, and I am recording this webinar so you can watch it over and over and over. Here's an example of a market where this thing is ready to get hammered to the downside. Now, I'm not just saying that because I see it in hindsight. I'm seeing it because the early morning flippiness of the market usually says one of these sides is going to win. Well, what happened? The trade channel opened, and although it was a spike candle down, it spiked down and hit the Bollinger Band here, which is often a sign of a channeling move. Here's why. When everything's matching up in color down here on our histograms, our bias histograms down here, tapping the Bollinger Band, it's with, look at this, channel opening, 1 candle, 2 candle, 3 candle, 4, but what has happened by then? Here's the secret. The Cobra has tapped and crossed over dynamic trend band 2, which is already matching dynamic trend band number 1. That's the simple rule. Very, very simple. They're matching colors. Go ahead and take a chance on that 4th candle. Like I said, 3 to 4 candles, the earlier the better. but sometimes in a special case, fourth channel. What else is here in this that tells you that it's an excellent trade? That's right. That's right, Paul. The slope of the dynamic trend band number 1 and 2 is very steep, and the Cobra. Cobra is crossed over dynamic trend band number 2. That already tells you that there's a good chance of a stronger move coming in. And the slope is steep, having tapped the Bollinger Band, so you hold there again to another 3 points. Now keep in mind, sure there was a lot of more move there, but we just, according to what I'm showing you here today, just had 4 trades, and I don't even know what day it is. I just randomly pick it. It's the 17th. We just had 4 winning trades, and all of them occurred and filled within just minutes. That one occurred within 1 minute. So you see, you're cutting your risk by being out of the market. You got 4 winning trades, 12 points. Let me figure this out for you real quick. NAS trades at $20 a point. So 12 points times 20, that's $240 a contract. Well, if you got a $3,000 or $4,000 account, Elliott was correct. Don't don't margin it to the hilt, or you'll end up, and your account will end up getting shut down. But for a $3,000, $4,000 account, you can easily trade 3 to 4 NASDAQs. So times 4, $960. And look at the time down here. First hour and a half of trading, and you're up 30% on your account. You see, 25%, not bad. Now, when the dynamic trend bands match, and you got to be fast watching all this stuff, because it's definitely a fast game in town, in fact. And you see here that the steep dynamic trend band, this market wants to go lower, and you've got all this matching. The bias indicators are not going anywhere. They're just barely getting above the 0 line, and they turn back under the 0 line. Everything's matching again. Go ahead and take a second level trade. Here's the new trade channel, pullback signal line, and another fast drop, a very fast drop, substantially lower. The actual entry, again, opening candle with the arrow on it. Once that closes, that locks in that you're in a new sell trade channel. Candle 1, no signal pullback. Candle 2, there it is. 42.06, went all the way down to 93.5. Just got hammered. 14 handles. Now here's my point. You're not going to get that in the ES. Some days the E-mini S&P will make a big move, obviously, but not all the time like this. You know, the ES might have budged a little bit on this, but here you got 14 handles in a blink of an eye. That's exciting. Well, finally that market starts bottoming out. How do you know? Because there's what I call a shift in gravity, and that's where the Cobra crosses over the steep dynamic trend band that's starting to flatten. How do you know it's flattening? Because you look at dynamic trend band number 1 flattening. You can see that's clearly flattening and rounding out here, even changing color. And most importantly here, we have this white line that you see how it moves when I move the chart, and it changes color to orange and white, etc. This is called the dynamic support and resistance. It's a living, breathing, moving number that sometimes you have these static dynamic or these static support resistance numbers on your chart. That's fine if it's like a Fibonacci type program. But on Boomerang, it's dynamic. It's always moving. So as prices trade here above the support line, you got more information why this move is coming to an end. New buy trade channel opens, the green shaded area. Pullback signal line on the actual opening of the channel and on candle number 2, and the market shoots up from 98 quarter entry up to 03 half. Now, when you're getting in this trade, you're just clicking on buy. And there might be a couple ticks slippage, but it doesn't matter. That's the way I develop Boomerang is you just get in at the market, and it's set up that even if there's a few ticks slippage, which normally you might happen, you're still going to get that 3-point move. Because look, 98 half ran up to 03. quarter, so 5 points. You see, so there's plenty of room for slippage. All of a sudden, the market reverts back to the downside. What happened? Wanted to go lower. You might have missed this one because the market's trying to stabilize, and this happened. This profit happened really quick. It was your 5th winning trade of the day, and this one happened really quick too, and the trade signal line lit up instantly on the new sell arrow for the sell channel. So, and then they were gone. They just screamed to the downside, but that's usually a bottoming sign. So you wouldn't have caught this trade in most cases. If you're lucky, you might have caught that, but you had to see that this thing was ready to end. Now, one way you could have seen that, see this long extended gray candle? That's Boomerang talking to you. I've built all this into the trade signal line, which colors the bars or the candles. So it was one of those things. Now, again, a little side note. Now, you do not have to know how to read candlesticks to trade with Boomerang, but I'm going to give you the simple way I teach candlesticks to our Boomerang traders. If you want to write this down, if you have Boomerang, it's the simplest thing you're ever going to believe. Hollow candles means those are bullish candles. Hollow candles are bullish candles, and solid candles are bearish candles. The reason why is the close is lower than the opening. That colors the candle solid if it's lower, and if the close is higher than the opening, that colors it hollow. So as you're watching the market run up, hollow candle, bullish, solid candle here. This is actually what's called a doji, but don't even, just pretend I didn't even say that, because I don't want you to think you have to learn candlesticks to trade Boomerang. Hollow candle, and then what happens here? Solid candle. And this is the number 2 thing, and this is all I want you to ever learn about candlesticks if you own Boomerang and trading with Boomerang. This is called an engulfing pattern. If the body of the candle engulfs or is wider the body of the previous candle, it's called an engulfing pattern. This one was a gray, which is also an additional information feature of Boomerang, as the candle was colored gray, which means watch out, turn around in the markets, and it engulfed this candle here. The next candle lower was hollow, which is bullish, but it turned red, telling us red alert. So you might, if you were fast and you saw this happening, you might have caught this pullback, the signal line, which the arrow signal went off, the pullback, the signal sound went off in one bloop. And if you had your finger on the trigger right there and you went sell, boom, you were short. Probably didn't catch it though. I missed those. Who cares? But what that does tell you is this crazy market here is forming a bottom. Now, if I go into a little bit of a helicopter view here, now I'm really going to complicate your life. Don't mind, but what I'm trying to tell you is that once you learn what I'm telling you today, it's virtually all you're going to ever need to trade successfully. You have Boomerang, and I've showed you how amazing that works with the indicators and the colored lines. I just showed you how all you need to know about candlesticks, which is what? Hollow candles or solid candles. Hollow candles are bullish, solid candles are bearish. And if an engulfing pattern occurs, that's usually a place where they're going to reverse. I'm going to show you a couple just so I don't leave you hanging here. Here's a reversal candle with the hollow body engulfing this one. While we're not looking at the wicks, we're just looking at the body of the candle. I already showed you this one engulfing here. The body engulfed this candle here. Here's a hollow body candle engulfing the body of this candle. It's a sign of a bottoming for an up move. Notice as the market starts taking off to the upside, the majority of the candles are hollow. Those are bullish candles. As they start getting topping out a little, you start seeing more solid candles. And then right here, a solid candle engulfs the bearish one. Again, I'm just showing you, those are the only 2 things you need to read, and they're not trade signals. They're just ways of reading the market. I don't want you to just come into Boomerang and push buttons, and it's great if you do that and make money. Congratulations. But as a professional trader, you're going to eventually want to know more about how to read the markets. So why not step up to the plate right now with me today, learn these simple things, and learn how to really trade the markets. So the next thing with that in mind, I'm going to show you. I'm scrunching the chart up. This is called an Elliott wave pattern. It occurs over and over and over in the markets. And once you get to learn to read Elliott wave patterns, I only use them on big moves so I know when they're generally going to bottom and reverse. Elliott wave is based on 5 waves. Wave 1 going down here, wave 2 reversing, wave 3 moving lower than wave 1. If wave 2 is simple, wave 4 is generally going to be complex. There's a complex wave 4 and then a small 5th wave washout. Sometimes 5th wave washouts are a phenomenon to behold. I mean, they are huge, but sometimes they're just like this one, small. I just happened to see this one, so I thought I'd go over this with you. Well, the market bottoms out after that 5th wave and makes a substantial move higher, doesn't it? That's Elliott wave, real basic. Now again, I will do some special courses just on that, how to use that in relation to Boomerang. So what have you learned so far today? Boomerang is amazing. Boomerang gives you these 3 key lines to simply match up the colors on the dynamic trend band number 1 and 2 after a trade channel, and then within 3 candles of the trade channel opening, you buy a pullback sig line as long as these 2 match. See that? There's a buy move there. These have to match, so you wait for that pullback. You don't buy these because there's no match in the colors. Got to wait. I also showed you how candles, hollow candles, solid candles, engulfing candles, that's it. That's all you need to know to be able to read the market better. Here's an example. Market's peaking out, right? All these are bullish. Look at these bullish candles. Uh-oh. A solid candle means probably a topping because this is a market weakening here. Here's a candle that's turned red. It's engulfing the previous minor bullish one because it tried to get bullish again. Here's a red solid candle engulfing this one. Boom, down they go, fast and hard. You see, if you knew how to read this, you might have even shorted it here. Now, I know that's not a Boomerang rule, but I hope you hear what I'm saying here. I'm a professional trader. I'm showing you some secrets. But you wouldn't have had this unless you had Boomerang and you knew what I just taught you. You see? You know right down here that this is a fat channel because if you turn your head to the left, you see the guy with a beer belly. I get one once in a while. I don't drink much beer, but it happens when you get older. But so I'm not putting down beer bellies. I'm just saying it's a way to look at it and say, don't trade that, you know. So I have a question coming. What does the diamonds mean? This is one of the unique features of Boomerang, and it's called a bias accelerator alert. When this certain specific chart pattern shows up, these bias accelerator alerts show up on the chart, and they print, if it's a short trade or a sell, it prints a horizontal red line here. All that does is when you're in a trade, it tells you as long as price is holding under that, stay short or, you know, watch the short. But if they bounce back and start moving above that line like they would have right here, it tells you to do what? Either get out of the trade or watch for a buy channel. So it's actually an additional chart pattern confirming signal within Boomerang. Just another wonderful feature of Boomerang. As far as the accuracy, it runs about 75% or so. Here's one here, here's one here, here's one here, here's one here. All telling you a chart pattern that is formed. And but again, more than the fact that it's so accurate just printing the chart pattern, when it prints that horizontal line up here and you see price immediately fall below it, that tells you what? Bearish bias. Then you see a red candle. See what I mean? So it's valuable even when it's, quote, wrong. But here's a signal here. Here's one here. Mostly the exact signals end up being correct. Let me find another day. I'm going to go back a few days here and get some here's Every day there's action. Don't you love it? Don't you love trading? I mean, sometimes you hate it because it's so frustrating and it can be challenging, and you get pissed off, pardon my language, when you see rigging. I do rigging by the Federal Reserve and all these people. It's like when a market's right at inflection point, absolutely needs to pull back, gonna pull back, wants to pull back. You see it try to pull back, and these guys come in on a real quiet market with 400 contracts and jam the thing up. And it's supposed to be illegal. Rule 575 came out a couple months ago and made spoofing and high-frequency trading illegal, and it was also applied to the Fed. It said it right in the rules. It applied to the central banks. Now, if they weren't rigging the markets, the CME would not have put the language in the rule that they are also not allowed to do that. Anyway, they're still doing it, but yeah, what's new, right? Anyway, here's an example at 8:15, which was 11:15 in the morning. I'm going to move on real quick here. We're getting a little late in the tooth, I know that, of a topping pattern here. Sure, the market was screaming higher, and you would have caught this on Boomerang. Why? You would have seen, number one, the new channel open, right? You would have seen the Cobra green. You would have seen the dynamic trend band green, bluish color, which is bullish, and crossing dynamic trend band number 2 with price above DTB number 2. And you even had a signal here on the bias accelerator alert. You buy that pullback, and the thing screamed higher. Well, that was probably because of the crossover here and the bias accelerator alert. Now, before I go on, I just want to show you something really amazing. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the charts here. All I want you to do for a minute with me here is just look at the dynamic trend bands. That's this thin dashed dotted line, and this slightly thicker solid line. Just look at that for a minute. And what I'm going to tell you, I just reconfigured these recently, by the way. I call it Ultra Boomerang. The ones I had before were deadly accurate, but the new ones I got are just insanely accurate. I'm going to show you in a second. I can't make this up. The charts are already here and done. When you get a crossover the DTBs, especially when they match color, look for a big move in the markets. Okay, watch this. About 80% accurate. Crossover, big move. You with me? Crossover right here, huge move to the upside. You want to catch runners, you better have Boomerang, because it'll actually tell you where the run is going to occur, exactly where the run is going to occur, and how to catch the move. Look at this. Dynamic trend bands cross. Yeah, a little bit of friction up here, but they've crossed. What's going to happen? Boom. Crush to the downside a little further, run up to the resistance at the Boomerang number 2, and another further crush. Here they go again. They cross right here, right? I'm not making this stuff up. Here's a dynamic trend bands crossing. We've had 3 crossovers with huge moves on the crossover. You want to swing trade, this is the way to get, you got to get Boomerang Day Trader, swing trade away. Here's a crossover here. Let me go over a couple charts. If you own Boomerang and want to get the Ultra Boomerang upgrade, which is very low cost, email me at mohan@daytradersaction. I'll put that in here so everyone can see. This is my email, mohan@daytradersaction.com. And you can just email me there and tell me you're a Boomerang owner. I'll check your license, and I can set you up with these. Let's just go over this again, though. Look at this. Crossover. You want to catch runners and big moves. Buy Boomerang. It's very low cost. This one move would have paid for Boomerang twice over if you had 3 contracts on. Crossover. You don't believe me yet? Look at this. The bands are not still moving lower. Now here's where they cross, right? But the colors are still the bearish cut. It's a very choppy bottom coming in here, and this is pre-market. I'm just showing you everything. There's a crossover, but watch what happens when they match color. Huge move to the upside. Coming into the opening here, dynamic trend bands, things are going to get a little choppy and flippy, but look at this. They just briefly cross over here. I've just showed you 6 massive moves using the new ultra dynamic trend bands. And here's the only one that didn't quite pan out. It was early in the day after a big move in pre-market, and it's just a typical choppy opening period. But look at that. As soon as the colors match again on the dynamic trend bands, a surge to the upside occurs. Here's a crossover. What happens? A gigantic move to the downside. Here's another crossover right here. What happens? A massive move to the upside. I've just showed you 8 examples with only one small example where it didn't pan out. It was near the opening of the top of a surge that already occurred, and it was right here where they crossed over briefly. It was real choppy and whipsaw, but then as soon as the color matched and crossed over again, you're back in business, and off they go to the upside. They cross over here. You want me to keep going? It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Cross over here. You could even put options on these trades if you knew how to do high-speed option trading. Now, arguably, here's one at 10 o'clock, or which is 1 o'clock in the afternoon, a time where a lot of traders are just coming back from lunch after their 2-martini lunch. And, you know, things get a little whipsaw. Here's a crossover that actually didn't pan out. However, yeah, the crossover panned out. They dropped lower, but here's what happened. As soon as the dynamic trend bands match, one of our rules is when the dynamic trend bands match, buy that trade channel, which is right here on the pullback to signal line, and up they go. Now they've crossed. The matching DTB's rule is applied. Now they're matching on the downside, and the crossover rule kicks in again as a soar to the downside. Coming into the close, they cross over here and run up again. I don't have time, but I could go over every day, endless charts. Just the cost of Boomerang is instantly paid by following the crossovers and catching these runners. People say, well, I like to catch runners. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, you got to have a real solid method. The easiest method I've ever seen in the industry is to follow the dynamic trend bands that I've developed here. Here's the crossover here. Early in the day, the dynamic trend bands have crossed, right? But they're still matching the same colors. So that market's going to keep moving up. Well, as soon as they match color, they get hit to the downside. Here's one that crossed. Arguably, this one didn't pan out. You know, hey, welcome to the wonderful world of trading, right? Yikes. Didn't pan out. That's okay. But sure enough, the dynamic trend bands match color here, and you did get a signal to go short, but those type of trades you don't want to worry about. Here's a crossover, surge to the upside. How many have I showed you so far? Like a dozen or more. Crossover here, surge to the downside. You see that? Crossover here, upside surge. Again, little congestion, fat channels, always going to throw things off. Crossover here, upside surge. It's pretty much, this is coming into close here, but I'm just showing you this is one of the great features. I also showed you the E-wave or the Elliott wave patterns. I don't want to spend time showing you how the simple use of Fibonacci, I'll save that for another webinar. It's a nice way, if you've had a big move and you're now getting short on a reversal and you want a roadmap showing you. I don't use Fibonacci as a trade signal or anything. I simply use them as a roadmap, and they're beautiful. They work very, very well. So with that in mind, that's what I wanted to show you today. Now, before we go or start the question answer period, I see your questions here. I'm kind of reading them and trying to answer them within the context of what I'm doing. I hope that's okay, because the idea is to get you this information so you can make a lot of money trading. I'm bringing up something here now. Keep in mind, within Boomerang, you go to indicators, and it shows you all the Boomerang indicators down here. I've added a few constant lines on some of these. That's all it is. But there's only very few things here on Boomerang. What I've done here, I'll just show you this. I think you'll like this. Just for fun, look at how I've simplified. I've kept the Bollinger Bands in here. The histograms are used regularly too as additional bias readings, and I'm a little bit out of time, you know. And we did this after the market. Many of you are tired from trading today. I know I was trading all day today too. Again, I have a video you can watch on my blog at Boomerang Trader. The one I put up originally, it's just boomerangtrader.com. Let me type that in there for you. just so you have it. It's boomerangtrader.com. You can go there and purchase Boomerang. Again, it's $11.95, and I'm running a special today. If you purchase Boomerang, I will send you my 2 precision additional add-on indicators, which are unbelievable. One is called the precision, or it's this is the hyper scalp down here, and the other one's called the precision bias indicator. It's unbelievable. You can apply it to a chart, any chart of a stock or an ETF and anything. It'll tell you where the price goes neutral, where to sell at exhaustion, where to buy it when it gets exhausted, the sell side. Unbelievable. But I want to show you this right now, and then we're going to go ahead and move into some question and answers and end the webinar so we just don't run too late here. You recall so far the system, which was a bullish Cobra, a trade channel, Cobra. All I did here was just for fun, I removed the dynamic trend bands because I wanted to show you how just using the dynamic support resistance line and the Cobra, look how easy this makes Boomerang. For some of you, I like as much information as I can. Some say, oh God, just make it easy for me. Just make it as simple as possible. And I totally respect that. Some days I'm like that. Some days I'm like, God, I can't handle anything but just getting in my trades and making money. Well, look at this. A new trade channel opens here, right? Prices tap the Bollinger Band. The Cobra is green colored, and the trade signal line, which is this thin line here, is crossed over the Cobra. The bias indicators are all on the same side of the zero line, which is green here, green, and yellow or green up here. Yellow is just a kind of neutral color. Crossover, trade at the pullback, the signal line, up they go. Now, if you're over here, by the way, look at this. Just on the right side of the chart, you're going to have this orange, which is the bullish color, also the support resistance line. So you're above support resistance, you tap the Bollinger Band, Cobra is green, there's a crossover here, you buy the pullback, the signal line, and up they go. This is an uptrending market, so you're not going to want to trade this. Even if you did, you don't have matching colors here just yet. And you don't, and the most important thing is the Cobra is what? That's right, flat as a pancake. If I put this cursor on there, you can see that it's completely flat, right? If I put the cursor down here, it's what I call a slice of pizza. See this Cobra here and this line going out here? It looks like a piece of pizza. You see that? It's like a little slice of pizza. That's a sloping up line. If I put it here, it's flat. You see that? There's no pizza slice there. If I put it here, the Cobra is moving up. So you buy that pullback. If I put it here, there's a little slice, but it's there. Right here, flat, no trade. What about here? New trade channel opens. I line this up here. There's a piece of pizza right there. It's sloping up. Up hits the Bollinger Band. There's a crossover here. Pull back the signal line. Up they go. So if what I showed you earlier, seemed complex, or maybe you're a new trader or whatever, I totally respect that. By the way, on the right side of the chart here, channel opens up. We're above the orange dynamic support line, right? No problem. Pull back signal line, and yeah, price came down and grounded out a little bit there. That's the markets for you. Same thing, flat Cobra. There's no pizza slice, and that's just a metaphor, Some people eat big square pieces. Some people eat a whole pizza. I'm just trying to, I don't know how else to say it, as a pizza slice. I mean, the point is by putting a flat line up against a sloping up or down line, you're going to see this is flat here, right? After this spike up, it forced the line into an upward slope. Tap on the Bollinger Band, crossover here, pull back the signal line, up they go. Now, how about a sell trade? See, I don't know these in advance. I don't even know what day this is. If I look over, it says 11:10. So I'll go one one trade at a time. Okay, first of all, I'll go one candle at a time here. So the markets, now the price have pulled down under the dynamic support resistance line. You see that? Just look at the right side of the chart. No looking at hindsight. Here's a new trade to the signal, or a new trade channel opening, right? You knew that. We have to wait for that bar to close, or that candle to close. Then we do what? Little quiz. That's right. We start counting 1, 2, 3 candles after that. And we look for the candle to be what? Ideally, a solid candle. That's a bearish candle. We want that. One trade channel opens, candle 1, candle 2, boom, hits the signal line. Okay, our entry is 74.5. All I do is click that. 74.5. Sell at the market. One click. And that's going to, if I click that, it'll put the brackets on there for a 5-point stop and a 3-point target. If you want to drag and click the stop, that's real easy on NinjaTrader. So we're short at 74.25. Let's take away 2 ticks. 73.75. So we're short at 73.75. Therefore, we want to see a move to 70.75. There it is. They hammered them down right here and kept going. Now, you had to take a little bit of heat, hardly any, and all they did was draw back up to the Cobra. By the way, the Cobra can be used very wonderfully as a trailing stop line. That's why I built it. Everything I built has multiple purposes. You don't get out if it taps a Cobra, but you look at it as a trailing stop and also as a trade back into the channel line. Let me show you an example of that. A lot of traders very intelligently follow what a lot of the specialists do, and that is when they get in a trend move, they trade pullbacks to what's called trade pullbacks to support. Well, look at the Cobra. Pullback to support, up they go. Pullback to support, exactly, up they go. Move ends, starts over again, pullback to support, up they go. Pullback to support, up they go. New trend begins the downside. We capture the 3 points down here. It took a little doing, but when you saw them pull back up to support, you could have added contracts and watched for the market not to go out too much outside of the trade channel there, and do what else? That's right, watch for the candle to see if it's hollow or solid. A couple of hollow candles, no big deal, but look at that, right back to solid, 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 kablam. And as it bottoms out, you get a hollow candle telling you what? Moves close to over, or it's going to reverse a little. That's why I gave you that simple candlestick lesson today. I know me and a lot of others all long to sit down and spend 3 years of their life studying Japanese candlesticks, and I learned this simple method, and it's really wonderful. I've now resigned that I don't need to know everything about dojis and hanging crows and all kinds of stuff. I respect it a lot, but it's a little bit too complex for me. I like Boomerang. Tells me where to trade on the yellow dots and to take the trade, get out of the market. Support, down. Anyway, so that's the essence of what I'm trying to show you today. This is a simplified version of Boomerang using the Ultra Boomerang with a couple of configurations. I can show you exactly how to do that. The blue and Jurgen is asking us with the blue and yellow dot. These are alarmed live pullbacks to the signal line. When you trade Boomerang and you have a new trade channel, you're going to trade only at these yellow or blue dots within the trade channel. This is a sell channel, so you trade here and you capture 3 points. Here's a buy channel. You catch one of those dots within the first three candles. Here it is here. There's 3 points there. Coming right in the close, new trade channel, and a final, well, that's aftermarket. That doesn't count, but the chart's the same anyway, no matter what. Pre-market, during regular hours, it's the same signals are always going off here. Here's a good example. New trade channel, pull back the signal line. The blues are buys and the yellows are sells. We always trade to pull back the signal line. You know, frankly, what I've done is I've built specialists, the way specialist trades, I built specialist methods, which I studied in my early days of trading, into Boomerang. They teach to trade pullbacks in channels to support. I've put in the perfect Cobra dynamic support line here, which can be used, also as a stop line. Whenever you trade, a market runs up, you have to trade a pullback. Specialist knowledge too. So anyway, I'm just saying, this is a very simplified version of Boomerang. I like simple too, but the regular Boomerang that I use in our daily trading room and everything, using the dynamic trend bands is so amazing. I showed you the value of the dynamic trend bands. When those things cross, you get some tremendous moves. When the colors match, you want to get on that side because it's going to rock. When it's choppy, everything gets convoluted, mixed up. Stand aside. Just wait. If it's all choppy and crazy, unless you know how to trade it, which I do, but still, I don't always do it. It's higher risk, but just have to wait. And then when everything matches up, and you get a channel, and they go tap the Bollinger Band, which is a sign of a market trying to make a channel or make a stretched out trade, just go in and take the channel, count 1, 2, and there's your sell. And within minutes, you got hammered to the downside. On the reversal side, new buy channel, get the price above DTB number 2, get everything matching, pull back the signal line, up they go. It occurs over and over and over. Here's the thing. Today I showed you practically everything you need to know to be successful in trading the markets. The only thing missing, other than if you don't own Boomerang and you haven't listened to some of the stuff I've said, the only thing possible that can be missing is your experience and skill development and applying that. And I will show you how to develop your skill development too, the easy methods to do that. And a lot of it's just time in front of the charts. But you can, even if you didn't know how to trade and you saw this, say, yeah, I think I understand. If I go short, I push this, right? You understood basic trading, or you've been trading for a while. You can buy Boomerang and get in the markets and make money tomorrow because all you're doing is matching the Cobra and the dynamic trend band with the new trade channel and trading within 3 candles on one of these dots in the appropriate channel. That's it. So with that in mind, there's more to go over in the future, and I have on my blog, I showed you the blog earlier, the boomerangtrader.com, we have short video tutorials and things like that. I'm constantly updating them, so I really appreciate you joining with us today, and feel free to ask me any questions you might have now. I've tried, like I said, to put your questions within what I was showing here so that it would make sense to you along the way and answer those. But if you have any now, yes, correct, first 3 or 4 candles, but the dots will show I've programmed Boomerang for the pullbacks to the signal line to occur up to 6 candles from the new channel opening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See? With a matching same type of candle, like here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's the 6th candle. But after that, there's a pullback here to the signal line, but no dot. Here's a pullback signal line here, but no dot. That's because I just programmed it to put up to 6. But I want you to get in the first 3 to maybe in some cases 4 candles after the initial arrow opens and closes that candle. Very, 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 very simple. Okay, so if you have some other question, I'd be glad to ask it. I use, in my daily trade room, I use Boomerang trade signals, and I also use what I call exhaustion reversals, which is something I like to do too. But it takes a lot of time to learn. I don't teach that, and I don't use it. I use Boomerang charts to set them up, but those are the two types of trades. We also have another type of trade, which is from my daily directional forecast, and that is called the that system trades only 6 to 12 times a month on the ES, but we're up to 1,000% gain since April, May. It was May 23rd. I have a report I can send you if you're interested, but it's up to 1,015% return, depending on how many points you took on a lot of the signals. Because my newsletter comes out and it's very mechanical, it's just buy or sell at this price, place a stop here, and that's it. But it's been right about 80% of the time. And we also now have that available for auto trade. If you're interested in looking into that, I can send you a report, and we can hook you up with that too, if that's something that might be of interest to you. So let me see what else here. Do the pullbacks to the signal line plot live? They plot live. Good question, Watson. I thought I'd mention that, but there's a lot of stuff here. When this trade channel opens here and the market goes down and we get a trade channel, here's candle 1, 2, 3, and I said sometimes maybe 4. If they hit the Bollinger Band on a spike like that, everything gets really steep here. That's going to be a big move generally. And guess what? What else you have? You got the dynamic trend bands matching color, which says big move ahead. When that taps the signal line, you're going to get a 1/1,000,000th of a second, or maybe faster, I don't know, but it's going to tap that signal line and it's going to print that dot and it's going to send an alarm out. And all the alarms are programmable. You can put on anything from a simple click to a symphony, whatever you want. So I use the click one for the pullback signal line. I use the symphonies for the crossover, the DTBs, because I want to hear want to know when those are going to cross, because I want to at some point get into that trade somewhere. So that's a very excellent question, and I hope that answers it. They're all instant. So it's a very simple way to trade. I know there's a lot of expensive courses out there, and there's a lot of other systems that are much more complex, and they teach you now. Watch for 2 ticks above this point here, mark this point, and then when you get a 2-tick break out of there, go long. Well, what happens if it goes to that point, it goes 2 ticks above that and it screams 5 ticks higher before you can even blink your eye? Well, in theory it's a good deal and it works well, but Boomerang gets you right. All you're doing is putting this nice software I built for you right on the charts. I looked and looked for 10 years. I couldn't find anything I liked, so I finally, through the kind grace of NinjaTrader, I built my own. Now we're developing a large group around the world of ninja warriors, ninja trading warriors. We're one of the top-selling day trading software on NinjaTrader. Have been for 5 years. It's because it works. People buy it because their trader friends tell about it. What, $1,200? I mean, let's be honest, it's peanuts. I know that might offend some people, but if you're a trader in the futures markets, that's peanuts. That's practically free for what it's giving you. It's not that, oh, it costs $1,200. No, it's handing you thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's more than free, because it pays you to own it and learn how to trade with it, you see. A lot of people who are traders, no offense if this one of you, I'm trying to help you, a little tough love here. They got some really screwball values. They got these Kmart values, and they're trying to trade the markets where you put on a trade with one mini NASDAQ, and if you screw up and lose 3 points, you're going to lose, $150. And they're saying, well, your trading service is too expensive. And I'm going, based on what? Like today, I had 8 winning trades in a row, or it was yesterday. Based on what? See what I mean? Based on what the price of a lawnmower at Kmart is, or what? I mean, trading makes you money if you follow the rules, you do things right. Yeah, you can lose too, of course. But I'm just saying, you have to have the right value understanding of what is provided. Boomerang Day Trader is the top selling system for a reason on NinjaTrader, and it's the lowest cost in the entire industry. That's me. That's just me, your trading buddy, Mohan. I'm trying to give you something that works that isn't going to cost you a lot of money. That helps me run my operation here. And how many systems can you go out and buy? I mean, here's a quiz for you. If you go out and look around, you'll just get confused and you'll land on some other guy's deal. And all. But if many of you have been in different things, how many systems give you an exact crystal clear area where the market's going to surge that's 90% of the time correct? I just showed you all those examples where the dynamic trend bands cross and the market surges. You see, is there such a thing you've seen? Okay, runner alert, cling, market tells you, okay, we're going to have a big move now. There's no such thing. I know. I've looked at all this stuff that out there. Maybe somebody has some kind of fancy thing like that. I've never seen it, though. Anyway, the point is it's been a blast talking to you today. I've got to get going. It's my wife's birthday, and we're going to have a little birthday party tonight. And thank you very much for your questions. I really appreciate it if you buy Boomerang, because you will do very well with it, and I promise you I will do everything I can to support you and help you until you're trading with Boomerang very comfortably and happily. The markets are never going to be comfortable and happy. They're always going to be high tension, high risk. But if you got Boomerang in your charts, you're going to have a lot of information that's crystal clear and easy to read that's going to help you become a winning trader. So thanks again very much. Thank you, Billy. And I'll tell her. An audio signal when a new trade opportunity is there would be cool. Yeah, it's all there. You can program the sound that you want. Everything tells you exactly where to get in, exactly where to set the stop, crystal clear. So, Jurgen, I hope you'll buy Boomerang, and I'll look forward to sending you the downloads and get you set up so you can start trading and winning. So thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the day. This is recorded, so I'm going to turn the recorder off, and let's see if we can get it downloaded, get on the blog, and I'll send it out to you. So